What I have in my hand here is my stool sample, which I'm about to mail off to the lab for a test. It's the only way for me to find out the health of my gut. But why the number one interest in my number two? Well, for that, we'll have to go back in time.
It's in cereal bars, yogurt, kombucha,
And even chicken. Probiotics, which are live bacteria, seem to be all the rage these days. But the real question is, are probiotics really necessary?
The global probiotics industry is expected to grow from 97.7 billion Singapore dollars in 2020 to more than 100 billion Singapore dollars by 2027. And a key player in that sector? Kombucha.
Babies. This is what you use to make kombucha. Over time, they multiply.
This fermented tea drink that is known to be rich in probiotics. Legend has it that the drink has been around since the Qin dynasty. So why the sudden revival in interest? To find out, I'm attending a kombucha making workshop at this local brewery.
Hey, Winnie.
Hi, nice to meet you. So here are the ingredients that we'll be using today for today's activity.
Okay.
Followed by the kombucha cultures, which is called a SCOBY. SCOBY is an acronym for Symbiotic Colony of Bacteria and Yeast. Okay, shall we get started?
Just the normal way we make tea, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
So what I will be doing next is
That's adding your copious
amounts of sugar. Sugar is not the enemy.
Okay.
Because without the sugar, we won't have the opportunity for the kombucha bacteria and cultures to produce things like organic acids, vitamins, up to 40 strains of bacteria and yeast. So here's my hot sweet tea.
Since the start of the pandemic, Craft and Culture has seen sales triple for its probiotic drinks.
Probiotics are basically beneficial microorganisms that give you a health benefit when you consume them. So essentially, good gut health requires probiotics, and kombucha contains probiotics. If your gut health really isn't in tip-top condition, you are probably more vulnerable to getting sick more easily than your peers.
Are you supposed to drink a lot of this each day?
Ideally, we recommend about 250 cc's or a bottle like this a day. We recommend taking it daily for about 2 weeks.
Advocates of kombucha believe that the drink is beneficial to gut health because it contains probiotics, which is said to have antioxidant effects and reduces inflammation within the gut. But what exactly is the gut? Well, when many of us think about the gut, we automatically think about our stomach. But that's not actually what the gut is.
Let me better explain it with a picture.
The gut begins with my mouth and includes the esophagus, the stomach, the small intestine, and the large intestine where it ends. Living inside our gut are trillions of bacteria, viruses, and fungi known as the gut microbiome. And this microbiome plays a very important role in your overall health by controlling your digestion, immune system, metabolism, and even mood. This is why there is an emphasis on maintaining a healthy gut, which is a balance of both good and bad bacteria. So how does probiotics help improve our gut microbiome? Dr. Lo Po Yen is about to dive into my gut.
So doctor, can you tell me what happens to my body when I start taking probiotics?
The probiotics travel through your mouth into your esophagus and go past your stomach and in order to reach the intestine. Once the probiotic reach the intestine, it will try to actually secrete some compounds. That compound will actually try to grow the good bacteria, and that actually will try to restore the balance of the good and bad bacteria.
And what happens if there is this imbalance in the gut?
Once you have the imbalance good bacteria, it can actually disrupt the mucosal lining of intestine. If let's say there's a disruption of the mucosal lining, the allergens, the bacteria, the toxin will actually cross into the intestine, subsequently activate the immune system in the bowel that lead to a lot of diseases.
How sick can I get if this lining is not intact?
One of the diseases actually is IBS, irritable bowel syndrome. This also can lead to allergy conditions. The allergens can actually cross into the immune system and activate the allergy immune system, and subsequently leading to eczema, asthma.
Since most of our bacteria can be found in our bowels, a stool sample gives a snapshot of what my microbiome could look like at any given moment, and whether there is an imbalance of bacteria in my gut.
And that's where I am today. I want to know the state of my own gut health and if I need probiotics.
On your poop, I'm afraid we have good news and some not so good news.
It's been about 2 weeks since I sent in my stool sample to be tested. So I'm bringing, well, me along to get a good idea of what's really going on inside me. For 15 days, staff here at Amli have been analysing the trillions of bacteria in my stool, which has a direct correlation to the kind of bacteria that's in my gut.
Hey Jeremy, hello.
Hi Steve, wow, who is this?
Yeah, I brought me along because I thought it'd be easier for you to kind of explain what's going on with my body, because
Sure.
I've never had this conversation before where I ask someone, how's my poop?
Well, Steve, that's the first time for everything.
Okay.
And on your poop, I'm afraid we have good news and some not so good news.
So I brought this marker. Maybe
Okay,
you can
thank
help
you.
me understand where and why.
Okay, the good news is that you have a very diverse gut microbiome.
Okay.
And what this means in layman terms is that you have many different species that are in your gut, and the more species you have, the healthier your gut generally is. The not so good news is that across 3 particular areas in the body, there are places that you can improve. And the
Okay.
first is in this area around brain health.
Right.
And something that many people don't fully realize is that many of the brain chemicals, or what we call neurotransmitters, are produced actually in the gut.
What is lacking here? As in, I already know I'm not so smart, so that's all right, you know. But
No, Steve. It's not about your smartness. It's about the transmitters that help to affect your mood, right? And what we have done in this test is to look at the microbes that help to produce the serotonin. For example, many people have heard of serotonin, the so-called happy chemical.
That's right.
But 95% of serotonin is produced in your gut.
My results showed that the concentration of bacterial groups associated with the production of serotonin, which affects my mood and sense of well-being, was low.
I see. Never thought of that.
The second is your heart. What the results show is that you have elevated levels of TMAO and higher levels associated with poorer heart health.
So brain, heart.
Brain, heart, and lastly, overall metabolism, right? Which is around the gut and how we harvest the energy from the foods we eat.
Okay.
Right? And your microbes tell us a story that you're not harvesting the energy as efficiently as you could have. So what we find is really that you're not as energetic as you used to be. You may feel a bit sluggish after meals.
How can I improve my gut?
We have 4 specific recommendations for you when it comes to diet.
Okay.
Right? Miso is really fermented soya. It's packed with probiotics, 1-2 bowls a day, very, very good for you.
Okay.
Right? Natto is also fermented, so likewise it's got lactobacillus, which is one of the strains that are very good for gut health and aids digestion. Pu'er tea is made from fermented tea leaves. The fermentation process helps the probiotics and the polyphenols to really emerge, and that's very good for gut health. And the last one is idli, which is a South Indian food that's made of fermented rice. Studies have been done that show that idli has up to 15 different types of probiotic strains that are good for gut health.
all the food and drink prescribed to me are fermented. That's because the process of fermentation allows probiotics to multiply.
So why those 4 specific foods?
Well, Steve, there is no one size fits all, and based on your test results, these are specifically the ones that are good for you. When we talk about these probiotics, there are literally hundreds of different strains that some of them can be good for you, some of them you already have enough.
And how often should I be eating these?
Well, for pu'er tea, 3-4 cups a day would be good. Miso, 1 or 2 bowls of soup a day would be fine. And natto, 1-2 servings a day, about a fistful would be very good. And same for idli, just a small serving.
Are there other things that I can eat?
What we have here is the supplements that we have formulated that are tailored for an Asia population.
And this is specific to me?
This is specific for the profile that you exhibit based on the results.
All right, sounds good. I guess
Yeah.
I'll give it a try and see you back here in 2 weeks.
Looking forward, my friend.
All right.
Take care then.
Oh yeah, sorry, forgot me. You know, if people told me stuff like this is good for my gut health, I'll say, you bet. I was also told to take one of these probiotic supplements each day before eating, and it will help improve my gut health.
I've been told to add very specific fermented foods and supplements to my diet, which got me wondering, what is the difference between fermented foods and supplements?
Oh, hi, baby.
Helping me out is dietitian Steven Chia.
So I've got these fermented foods and I've got supplements, and they all claim to have probiotics. What's the difference?
So fermented foods are different from supplement because, for example, kimchi, apart from just having probiotics, would also have fiber, lactic acid, and so there are other goodness from fermented foods apart from just the probiotics.
How would I tell the difference between these two?
Well, if you look at the bottle, it generally would tell you what are the different types of strains. So different strains means they are of different bacteria.
The more strains, the better?
I would say for general well-being, yes, but for certain health condition, you might want to target the specific strain
Right.
studied for that health condition.
I'm halfway through my probiotic diet, which is supposed to improve my mood, make me less tired, and decrease my risk of heart disease. Will my efforts pay off?
So guys, I've got a confession to make. Oh.
For the past 1 week, I've been following a rather specific diet. I've been eating this South Indian dish, idli, and natto, a Japanese dish made of fermented soybeans.
Ooh. I'm told the best way to eat it is just put it on some plain rice. Oh well, here goes. Bon appetit. Oh. I just swallowed it. Wow. It tastes just like it looks. Smelly, gooey, oozy, rotten, fermented. Why do the healthy things taste so bad? I have no idea how I'm gonna eat more of this in the coming days. I have no idea.
I've been taking miso soup with my meals and drinking pu'er tea.
It's not too bad. It's a little bit bitter, has a pretty much an earthy taste. It's just something that I guess I wouldn't normally get for myself if not for, this show. I had also thought I would be able to substitute this for my daily cup of coffee, but I found that I haven't. It's not quite the same thing.
I've also been prescribed probiotic supplements, specially formulated to match my health profile, which showed that I have low levels of serotonin, a hormone that affects my mood and sleep, and a higher risk of heart disease and stroke. Even though I've been recommended specific probiotic-rich food, there are so many varieties on the market. How would consumers like me know which ones to choose? And is one more effective than the other? I'm getting some tips from food scientist William Chen.
But if I'm at the supermarket and I want to get food which is good for my gut health, how do I know what I need?
We need to look at whether the probiotics are still active and how many microbes are there in the particular food. So we call it CFU.
What's that?
It stands for Colony Formation Unit. Basically, it measures the activity of the bacteria. An international definition of probiotic food is actually there must be 1 billion CFU in the particular food, which is generally not labeled on most of these food. Why? Because they are not sure.
So in order to put the label probiotic, they must have at least 1 billion CFU.
That's right. You will see there are actually a variety of food which are labeled probiotics.
Okay.
For example, kefir.
Yeah.
Right? So it says probiotic kefir, and then it says
15 different types of
yeah,
cultures, billions of live culture. Okay.
That's right. Yeah. So
Okay.
they can label probiotic. Other example like kombucha, fermented tea. This is very popular right now. So they also label that there are probiotic microbe in this
Right.
kombucha.
Yeah, it does say there are live cultures in here.
Actually, when we talk about this probiotic food product,
Yeah.
we also need to pay attention to the storage condition.
Okay.
So as we know, bacteria they grow slower at the low temperature, but faster in the high temperature.
In other words, a probiotic product can lose its potency if it isn't stored properly or sits on the shelf too long.
So ideally, the lower the temperature, the better. Some of the new products are even at a frozen state,
Frozen.
which means that we literally put the probiotic to sleep. Then we know the CFU label on it stays as it is, which is good for consumer because they know
Really?
how much they are taking in. Those with a labeled CFU number typically was a number at the packaging date.
Okay.
But the company will not have time to monitor how long these products stay on the shelf until the consumer buy it, right? So the actual number of microbes that we take in at the consumption date, we don't know. No one knows. Then you need to pay attention to the expiry date, right? Don't buy too much and then put in the fridge for too long.
Okay, day 8 of drinking pu'er tea. I'm pretty used to it, but I'm still not loving it. So guys, I've got a confession to make. Remember natto, that fermented soya bean? Well, I'm here to say that we have officially broken up. I tried really hard. I gave natto new friends. I got natto to mix with eggs. I even tried to give natto a new fragrance. I put black pepper sauce with natto, but no matter what I did, I just could not find myself liking natto. And so it is official. Natto and I are over. So this is my last meal on the last day. And overall, it's been actually quite easy to incorporate this probiotic foods into my diet. The only exception being natto. I'm interested to see just how it made a difference to my gut health.
It's time for me to do another test to see if all those probiotics have improved my gut health. I've sent my stool sample back to Emily.
Hey Jeremy,
Hey Steve, hi.
we are back.
And I'm ready for my results.
So tell me, has my gut health improved?
Well, Steve, you have improved. You've done very well in the gut.
Okay.
You have one bacterial that is in your gut that's linked to greater permeability that has
Okay.
come down. And what this means is that your gut is not so leaky. It improves the efficiency of the absorption of nutrients and all. Right? And remember the last time when we talked about the heart,
Yeah.
we spoke about T-mal and how your levels are a little on the high side,
Okay.
which is an indicator of really inflammation and risk of cardiovascular
Okay.
disease. But in the second test, the levels have come down, so they are within the normal range now. But you can do better.
Right.
But I've got some not so good news. You have done well in heart health. The brain, not so good. But let's go into detail.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay.
Some of the neurotransmitters that the microbes produce and then they go up to your brain, these haven't gone up. Right? And there are two possible reasons for this. One is that it's still very early. These changes may not be linear. meaning that certain parts of your body, like the gut may respond faster, the heart may respond faster, but the brain may take a little while longer. The other reason is that maybe you're just not producing sufficient levels of really serotonin.
Low levels of serotonin production can affect my mood and sleep.
So how accurate is this test that I took? And should everyone be taking it?
Well, Steve, this is a wellness test, right? This is for those who are interested in how their microbiomes look like and how to live their lives to the fullest from a gut health point of view. Should everyone take it? I would say not yet.
You know, I've learned a lot about my own gut bacteria from taking this personalized test. And it's great that the probiotics I took has enhanced my ability to digest carbs and fats and also lowered my chances of getting heart disease. But let's face it, the test is not exactly cheap. It costs $228. If you add on the food, the supplements for 2 weeks, that's another $150. So the question is, do I really need to enhance my diet with probiotics if I don't have any major health issues to begin with? What do you think?
Dr. Melvin Loke has a special interest in gastrointestinal surgery.
So if I come to you as a fairly healthy individual, do I still need to take probiotics, or is my regular diet good enough?
If you have a very good diet, balanced diet, plant-based, and you avoid, smoking, excessive alcohol, etc., then you probably do not require extra probiotic supplements. But probiotic foods would be a good idea because it should be an essential part of our balanced diet.
So my gut can balance itself without the need for probiotics?
If your gut is functioning healthily, it should be able to balance itself, yes.
And what side effects? I mean, are there any from having too much probiotics?
Probiotics are essentially very safe. You cannot overdose on a probiotic. But if you take a lot of fermented foods, they do contain a high amount of amines. And some people do get symptoms like headaches because they can irritate the brain. For probiotic supplements, because they do cause fermentation in the gut, some people do get bloating and abdominal distension or discomfort. If you take probiotic supplements that contain yeast, that may cause constipation.
So is the goodness of probiotics a myth or miracle? Probiotics did help improve some areas of my health, but it's not that straightforward. I've learned that because we each have our own unique gut microbiome, there's no one-size-fits-all probiotics, and I may have to, eat things that I don't really like just to improve my health. But the study of the gut microbiome is still a fairly new field, and it may be too early to put our money on gut health tests to accurately diagnose us. What we do know is that probiotics is needed to balance out the good and bad bacteria in our gut. But it may not really be necessary on a daily basis, especially if we're fairly healthy to begin with.